afterwards. So yeah, just one more time, coming to you from the global mothership located in my brother's driveway in Plymouth, Wisconsin right now. So the lighting is not perfect, but we'll make the best of it, right? So today we're going to talk about content and specifically leveraging content on LinkedIn. LinkedIn creates a lot of tremendous opportunities. I'll tell you, 5 years ago, if you were using a direct message strategy on LinkedIn, that was all you needed. And you could really be very, very direct just because there wasn't a lot of people using LinkedIn in that way. You could be very direct with your language and get ample opportunities out of that. Today, we've got to take a different approach to that direct message strategy. And one of the great opportunities on LinkedIn today, which we'll talk about, is content marketing. Right? There's more people doing those direct messaging strategies. Frankly, most people do it very, very poorly. Most people are incredibly direct. You probably get these incredibly, salesy, if you will. So that's why in the language that we use for your direct message strategies, we try to be incredibly rapport-based. So it is about, especially in your industry, building relationships. And so that's what we're gearing to do. And now, some people convert very quickly. For the majority of people, there's a sales cycle there. We've got to build that relationship. They have to have a need, right? Content is going to help keep you in front of people very consistently. So here's what we're going to talk about, is how your LinkedIn post can help you create new opportunities. I see it every day. We get a ton of opportunities out of the content marketing that I do, that Mark does, that Lori does, and other people's on the team. We're going to talk about four secrets. I don't know if they're so secret, but 4 good strategies for when you make your posts. Now, if we're already helping you with content, we're designing your post around a couple of these strategies, but then we're going to talk about activity that you can do to put more fuel on that fire, if you will. And the last one, I know you guys can't use this word in your, in any of your written material or verbal material, but I can tell you, without question, we can guarantee thousands of views on your content if you're posting good content. So we'll talk about how we make that happen. 30-minute presentation. And so I'm just going to move through things fairly quickly. If you can, shut out distractions. You will receive the recording of this afterwards if you do miss anything, but I would recommend you grab a notebook. There's a couple things in here that you might want to take notes on. So, all right, very cool. LinkedIn. Let's talk about your profile first. Our team hopefully did a wonderful job in rewriting a summary for you, giving recommendations for your headshot, for your background, your header photo. Your LinkedIn profile, in case you're not aware of it, is incredibly searchable on Google. In fact, I don't know if I can say for most, but maybe it's most, your LinkedIn profile is likely to show up above your website. That's how searchable and relevant these profiles are. So as you look at your profile, the work we've done on it, the work you've done on your own, or maybe you had another company touch it, at one point or another, take a look at that. If there's anything in there that needs updating, of course, you can bring that to your account executive on our team at Social Advisors. They can help you with that update. Or it's pretty simple. You can see, as we look at my profile here, there's little pens on the right-hand side. If you just hit those areas, LinkedIn's going to guide you right through updating those sections of the profile. So, but make sure that you complete your profile, because it is incredibly searchable, as I mentioned, but also, that every person out there is doing their diligence, right? And you want to put your best foot forward no matter where they're doing their diligence. If they Google you, likely they're going to hit your LinkedIn page very quickly. So now, the strategy that we use on LinkedIn, a strategy that all of you are part of, some of you are doing more than others. The most important thing that we absolutely have to do is build the right network for you. So if you find that your targeting is not spot on, again, make sure that you're communicating with your account executives so they can update the search. Once we build that network with the right people, the next step is we've got to engage them. Now, the strategy we use for engagement is through those direct messages. Now, if you send a message to a new connection that says, "Oh, hey, do you have a financial advisor?" you will not get a single reply. So we do have to use rapport and mindfulness of that salesy approach when we send that message, because we've got to engage people and build relationship. That's what's important here. The content is really the third and fourth step of this: educate and promote. So we do want to, for the most part, educate people on your areas of expertise. We also want to educate them on who you are as an individual, right? So much of building that relationship is about getting to know people. And if they're not going to engage you in a in a meet and greet type conversation over Zoom or over the phone, at least we can continue to tell them who you are through content marketing as well, right? So that's the educate. And then from time to time, of course, we got to promote your services. So that's the educate on who you are and your expertise. We also have to put some call to action in there from time to time, but we don't want to do that a lot. Now, I got a little formula. This is something that early on in my career, a sales manager taught me once upon a time. MA stands for massive action. RS stands for the right stuff. The C stands for consistency. And MR stands for massive results. So if you know the right things to do and you do those things consistently, you're going to get great results. By nature of sales cycles, sometimes it takes a little longer than other times, but by building that network consistently, by building rapport within that network consistently, by occasionally putting out a call to action, you're going to get results you're looking for. I've got a number of our clients close business in month 1. Average seems to be about month 5, month 6. But all we're doing is we're filling that pipeline. That month 5 sale, that month 6 sale is typically someone that they met in month 1, maybe month 2. So everybody's a little bit different, but those are kind of the standards. So if you do this stuff long enough and you continue to take the right actions, you will get the results you're looking for. All right. I want to speak to the content opportunity on LinkedIn. Now, here's some stats I'm going to throw at you. I actually, for those of you who are not aware of it, many of you probably are, I have 5 business partners. Those business partners we work with, they are not in our industry whatsoever, and that's what's really important about these partners, because we do a handful of we do some work together. We're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up at the end of the presentation. These people help us a lot. You never want to be the smartest guy in the room. I am definitely not the smartest guy in that room. So I'm learning every time I talk to these guys. Highly respected digital marketers in other industries. 2 of these people are in the US. Of course, Social Advisors being the 3rd in the US. We got 2 in the UK and 1 in Australia. So we're talking, it really is a global network. And so we do a lot of research together, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a piece of software that we developed together last year that has been gangbusters, frankly. So what we're looking at here is there are 9 billion content impressions on LinkedIn every single week. That's like almost 40 billion a month. That's crazy. Now that's global. If I'm going to do a little estimation here. About 1/3 of the LinkedIn network resides in North America, US and Canada. So we're probably looking at about 3 billion content impressions in the United States and Canada. The research that we did with this partner group, and it took us some time, we got some automation that we can do this stuff with, but we looked at 30,000 LinkedIn profiles. 2% of those people had posted content in the last 30 days. There's a really easy way to go out and confirm this. If you go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for example, and you just search the US, or just search the US and Canada, and then one of the statistics that they return is people who have posted in the last 30 days. And you're going to see, unless something has changed dramatically, in the last maybe 2 or 3 months, about 2% of people post content consistently. So you've got 2% of the users in North America, or globally, grabbing in North America 3 billion content views every single week. So 12, 13 billion a month. Here's how that translates. When I did this math, and I did it, it's probably, gosh, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, but I expect it's exactly the same. There were like 4 million people in North America that had shared content in the last 30 days. So I did a little bit of math on it. Each one of those people sharing content got about 750 views then every week. Now that's 3,000 views a month if you're posting just once a week. I mean, that's tremendous. So that just speaks a little bit to the content marketing opportunity that's out there on LinkedIn. So as we grow that network consistently, it's important to keep content in front of them. Compliance. I'm going to tell you, first and foremost, our industry is pretty bad at content marketing. And compliance is really the reason for that. We're gonna jump into the right way and the wrong way to do content. Compliance actually creates an opportunity for you. It may sound weird. I know that usually they stand in the way. I've heard a lot of people call them the BPU, the Business Prevention Unit. But compliance actually creates an opportunity because most advisors are going to take what compliance gives them as pre-approved content, and they're going to share that content because it's easy, but it really doesn't drive any results whatsoever. Right? It doesn't drive any visibility. It drives very little interaction, and we'll take a look at why in a moment here. Think about the sales gurus you've followed over your career, right? Most of them, they would say, you really need to touch a prospect 8 to 12 times or 7 to 10 times or, 10 to 15 times or whatever that is. But it always seemed like it was right in that ballpark, right? You got to reach out and touch your prospects this many times before they'll convert. Sounds logical. I'm going to share with you that I think that number is probably a 10x now, right? So we are all inundated with messaging, right? In fact, I look up stats often. I get 5,000 or 6,000 advertising impressions every single day is what the average consumer gets, right? So you couple that with things like content marketing and emails and whatever else that might be. That's a lot of noise, and it's not easy to cut through that noise. So I'm going to tell you, there's probably still sales gurus out there quoting numbers like this, 7 to 14 touches per prospect. Because I think it's 10x that. I would say it's 75 to 150. It might be more than that, because it's become a very noisy environment, right? So in order for you to really stand out in a prospect's mind, you've got to stay in front of them. And content marketing is a great way to do that. The last comment down there, LinkedIn lurkers are watching you. It probably happens 2-3 times a week for my content where, I'll get a note from somebody and they say, "Oh, Charlie, I've been following you for a long time. I'd really like to sit down and ask you what Social Advisors does." Right? Get more information on the company. People I've never even knew they existed, right? Popping out of the woodwork that say, "Listen, I've been watching your content for a long time. Often, where are you this week with the RV journey going on?" But there are people out there watching your content, even if they're not interacting with you. There are people out there watching you, watching your journey, interacting with that content. So, or at least viewing that content, lurking on that content. So keep it going. Even if you're not getting tremendous results right away, keep it going. It's an important step in the process. Now, we go back to the process. I probably could have kicked this slide out of there, but we don't want to sell. That's the point of all this, right? So we got to build that network. We've got to engage. We got to educate. What we don't want to do within that network is sell to them. Sales is completely different today than it was, even 10 years ago. I came up, 98. I was started working with advisors back then, and we were selling websites, and it was a telemarketing job. It was smiling and dialing, 150 calls a day. So it was tough. I mean, it was tough work. But that sort of sales really, I know people that have some success still cold calling, but that stuff is very much a thing of the past. We've got to be almost the antithesis of the salesperson we were in, the year 2000, right? We've got to approach each relationship with value. We've got to approach each relationship with relatability. Be a human being. Don't be that robot that, maybe if you got your career started at Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley, they want to make everybody look very much the same. We want to break that mold, right? We want to lead with personality. If people don't know you, if they don't like you, let me back up. They won't do business with you until they know you, like you, and trust you. So It's not a magic combination of words. It is really about putting yourself out there and being relatable to others. And that's what your content marketing should do. All right, let's get into the secrets. I am keeping a close eye on the clock. I don't want to take us over, and I want to leave us a couple minutes at the end for Q&A. And of course, you should at this point all have my contact information. So if you've got a question for me outside of that account executive relationship, I am always open. So we're going to talk about 4 steps here, or four secrets, if you will. Post native content. That's a really, really important thing. Use appropriate hashtags and @ tags. Comments and direct messages are really your most important content. That's where you're going to get your most interaction out. So I'm going to give you a little challenge here today before we're done. And then also I'm going to talk a little bit about the LinkedIn algorithm, content algorithm. I'm going to introduce you to a piece of software that we have that was part of this, the part of this this group of 6, digital marketing agencies globally that helped build it out. That software is called Postparty. You've probably heard of it already, but I'll tell you a little bit about Postparty and why it's important for the content marketing strategy. So, all right, post native content. You can see the post on the left here. This was I've hidden that person's name because their content isn't getting any interaction. But what you can see is the top. That was posted 1 week prior to when I did the screenshot here, and you can see that it's a link to CNN.com. Now, this is very common. This is very common content in the industry. Whether your compliance department pre-approves a bunch of third-party links, maybe you use hearsay and that's loaded with pre-approved third-party links. You got to understand why this type of content does not get any interaction. LinkedIn makes money in 2 ways. They make money by selling premium services like Sales Navigator, and they make money by selling advertising. Now, in order to maximize their ad revenue, they want to retain eyeballs on their platform as much as they can. So when you post content that is a third-party link, understand that you're actively working against the best interest of LinkedIn. Not only do most people not find this type of financial content all that interesting, reality is, I think school just let out. I don't know if you can hear the background noise there, but I'll speak loud because if I shut the RV door, all my lighting goes away. So the hazards of the road. So not only is it not found that interesting, but nobody's seeing this type of content. So if you're posting third-party links or just automating FMG content or something like that, the reality is you're not getting a whole lot of views on it. Even if it were good content, it's not being seen by many people. Right. So in contrast to that, you want to think in terms of posting native content that is designed to be consumed directly on LinkedIn, thereby keeping the eyeballs where LinkedIn wants them on their platform, helping to maximize the ad revenue. Right. So this is a great, congratulations, of course, on the CFP that Raquel, that accomplishment. But look at this thing. That was posted 6 days prior to when I control your environment, right? Sorry, guys. This is school let out and it just got crazy around here. Anyway, so Raquel, if you look at the kind of interaction that she got, largely, of course, people want to congratulate her, but largely that's because this content is built to be consumed directly on LinkedIn. So if LinkedIn sees the interaction happening, they're absolutely going to show it to a much, much larger audience. So post native content, that is the first tip I can give you. Again, my apologies. I like to control an environment when you're in an RV. That's tough to do. So again, my apologies for the distractions in the background. Maybe you don't even hear them, but there's dogs barking and kids cruising by and everything like that. So educate and inspire with your content. Each of you has a why. Each of you got involved in this industry, and for most of you, that was to help people, was the reason you got involved in this industry. Get personal, right? Share your story. People want to know you. Of course, they recognize your expertise. Put expert content in front of them as well. But if you're looking for inspiration for content, here are 2 really great resources. So there's a great book called Storytelling for Financial Advisors. I don't want to confuse storytelling with analogies. A lot of people like to use analogies. I had a client of ours who I work with pretty closely in a coaching capacity. Before we get started working together, he would say, he was, in combating kind of robo platforms. He would say, would you rather get on an airplane that is run by a computer, or do you want to get on an airplane that's being flown by a pilot? And I said, listen, man, you can't say that. No one's ever been faced with that choice before. I get the analogy you're trying to go for, but that's not relatable, right? Storytelling is actual stories. If someone's got a situation that you're trying to tell them how you would respond to, don't tell them, share with them a story about another client who had a similar situation. And then Simon Sinek, I love. Start with Why is a great book if you haven't read it. If you don't want to read it, that TED Talk there, and of course it's a long link to write down, but if you just Google TED Talk Simon Sinek, you're going to get it. It's a 17-minute TED Talk that basically you don't have to read the book then. So, but these are, again, think in terms of storytelling. People are attracted to other people. You want to tell your story. Those of you who have content services with social advisors, you'll know that we try to, maybe 50% or so, bring in you, not just your expertise, but you as a human as we create those content posts for you. All right, next tip. Use hashtags and use the @ tag. I had the distinct honor, and this is a couple of months ago, I guess, I had the distinct honor of being on Top Advisor podcast with Matt Halloran. If you guys don't know Matt, follow him on LinkedIn. He's awesome. Former coach with Carson Wealth. Matt's a really knowledgeable guy, is doing a great thing for advisors with podcasts. So he's helping advisors launch their own podcasts. They're certainly worth checking out. But what I want to do is show you this post. I got a lot of traction on this post for several reasons, but one of those reasons is after that podcast, they sent me a cup with their logo on it, which was cool. So I made a post about gifting and the importance of gifting in our professional relationships. I tagged Matt at the top of it. I tagged his partner, Kirk. I tagged their company, Proudmouth. I went so far as to talk about the gifts that we often send out. Some of you've received them, others will. The gift of cheese. I mentioned I'm sitting in Plymouth, Wisconsin, my brother's driveway. Well, he works for Sartori Company here. Plymouth, if you didn't know it, is the self-appointed cheese capital of the world. Anyway, so he works for a cheese company called Sartori. They make great cheese, and every now and then we'll send a cheese package out or something like that. But so I got good interaction, accelerated by the fact that I take Matt, I take Kirk, I take their company, I take Sartori, and I take my brother Joe. So now I'm getting into all of those networks to some degree. And look at the bottom of that post, right? You got 29 reactions to it. I got 42 comments on it. That's pretty awesome. I'm excited about that. Now, I know a lot of people who will just tag 20 people. Like, do a post, tag 20 people. In fact, I've had to ask people to remove my name from their posts because they're totally abusing it. Like, the post had nothing to do with me. They just want to get into part of my network. Do it only when it makes sense. Don't try and, milk the algorithm just by posting, by tagging 20 people in a post. It looks bad. It shows poorly. So, all right. Here's my challenge. Got one challenge for you, and it relates to secret number 3. Comments and engagement are effective content. So if we're running your direct message campaign, if we're running content for you, I also want you to be partaking in the activity. So if you would, take 15 minutes a day. That's all this is going to take, okay? Take 15 minutes a day. Find 3 people in your network that are people that you want to talk to. Look at the content that they've shared and comment on it. It's that simple. Now do that with those same 3 people once a week for 2 or 3 weeks. And then send them a private message that says, your content's been showing up in my feed. Your content's great, whatever it is. They're going to know who you are because you just spent some time commenting on their content. When you send them that direct message, they're going to take that phone call 9 times out of 10. It is incredibly effective. Just pick out the people you want to do business with, find content that they've posted, comment on it, And then after you've made 2 or 3 comments over a week or 2 weeks time, send them a direct message, compliment their content, tell them you'd like to get to know them a little better. Can we schedule some time? You will schedule with that strategy as many phone calls as you can handle. It is highly, highly effective. And honestly, it takes you 15, 20 minutes a day. Once you see it working, I bet you would start investing an hour a day, because it really does work well for filling up a calendar. So we're doing hopefully some great things for you on the front end. You can really support the work we're doing with this type of activity. So I challenge you to, just put that into practice for a couple of weeks, and you'll start filling up your calendar in no time. All right. Now, when you comment on those people's posts, don't say things like, "Great post, thanks for sharing." Actually say something about the post. If they post a video, actually watch that video and take some value from it. So when you make your comment, it's an intelligent comment, and it doesn't just sound like you didn't really do anything, but you wanted to get in this person's feed, right? So make it an intelligent comment. Again, at the bottom, refrain from trying to sell. Bring value. All right, awesome. Last tip, and I'm keeping an eye on the clock. I'm beyond where I thought I'd be already. So we'll wrap up quickly here, and then we got some time for Q&A. You got to know the LinkedIn algorithm. Now, there's hundreds of variables that go into that algorithm, and I'm not gonna pretend to know all of them. But with those global partners that I mentioned, we do quite a bit of research. And one of the things that we did was looking at some of the most impactful things. We did video posts, we did picture posts, how many words in our abstract. We did a variety of posts. Here's what we found. The first 2 hours after you post your content is absolutely the most important time to gathering a viral type effect. If you don't get interaction on your content in the first couple hours after you post, LinkedIn's not going to show it to a lot of people, right? LinkedIn is scoring your content, and when your content gets a higher score, it goes in front of a lot more people in your network. Knowing this, what we did is we built a piece of software. Most of you are already aware of this probably. If you're not taking advantage, I highly recommend it. We built a piece of software called Post Party. I'm going to get to that in a second. But some of the results that you're seeing here, right? The same post I showed you earlier, mine got 919 views. This CRM post is from Lori, who I'm sure several of you know. CRM is a product that we are going to be focused on in the future here, in the near future. So Lori did a post kind of promoting that product. You can see the results of that. I can tell you now today that's well up over 11,000 views. Now, it's not like Lori does anything special where she's getting more views than anybody else would. This is the result of Post Party, these types of results. And Mark, you were on here. There's your mug. So Mark, I can tell you, has already taken part in Post Party and has been for quite a while. And Mark, your posts are great. And I see a ton of interaction that happens inside Post Party and then outside of Post Party as well. So picking on you a little bit, Mark, sorry about that, man. All right, so have you heard of Post Party? Here's what Post Party is for those of you who maybe have heard of it, but you're not really aware of what it does. So we've got these 5 business partners. There's 6 of us total, 3 of us in the US, 2 in the UK, and 1 in Australia. I saw that a little chat came through there, so I'll grab that in a second here, whoever had a question. And we meet a couple times a month. It's a meeting of the minds. These guys are incredible digital marketers. I'm learning things every time I meet with them. But what we did last year was we all worked together to build a piece of software called Post Party. Post Party has about 550, 600 members now. And what it is it's basically just a community of content creators. And we all work together to make sure that we're getting greater exposure for the content we're creating. Now, if we're doing content services for you, Brian, I know you were on here, with the content that we're doing for you, if you're not already taking advantage of Post Party, Erica is creating content for you that is friendly for Post Party. Now, we run about 30 pre-scheduled post parties every month. They run on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at various times, so you know when they're coming. If you have a post, you register for the post party. Nobody takes advantage of all of them. I might do 5 a month is all. But if you got a post ready, you sign up for that particular post party. And then when the post party launches at the top of the hour, you make your post, you copy your link, you plug it into this software, and the software distributes that to 15 people. And at the same time, you get the links to 15 people's posts, not the same people either, right? So we want to randomize it. You've got a 2-hour window. Based on our research, you've got a 2-hour window then to interact with those 15 posts. Takes you about 30 minutes or so. And those 15 people that got your post, they're going to interact with your post. All this does, and you might get somebody in Australia because we got a partner there, right? You might get somebody in Spain because we got a partner in Europe. They're not prospects of yours. They're only there to show LinkedIn the importance of your content. And that importance, that early activity puts your post in front of a much larger audience. So this slide is probably a month and a half or 2 months old. So when I pulled these stats, the previous 90 days, we had over 7 million post views in Post Party. That's crazy. When I did this, it was probably about 400 members, 450 members in Post Party. So that's a crazy amount. It's 100,000 genuine likes and comments. That is, I mean, it's awesome results. And guys, it's fairly inexpensive for what you get. It's a $99 commitment to it. It's a monthly commitment. No long-term whatsoever. You can learn a whole bunch more about it at socialpostparty.com. You're going to get my mug on there telling you more about it. A lot will be repeat information. Now, there are community standards, and that's important, right? Because we don't want people posting about political stuff or divisive things that now you have to comment on. Also, if you come across a post in Post Party that you're not comfortable aligning your brand with, because if you do comment on it, it's going to align. You've got the option to just click a button in the software to say, yeah, I read it, but I couldn't put my brand with this one. So you're not required if it's content that's not, that's not sensitive, or if it is content that is, maybe a little divisive, you don't have to comment on that. But Post Party, you guys, if you're not using it, it is a really awesome way to gain a whole bunch of exposure for the content you're creating. Those first 15 people, they might be random and global, but what it does is it tells LinkedIn to push your content out in front of more people in your network. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah, we'll breeze through this and get right to the end of it. So you get my contact information if you don't already have it. I know I've probably spoken with a whole bunch of you over the time that you've been with us. We got one chat in here from Mark, says thanks. Yeah, Mark, my pleasure, man. You're doing a great job, Mark. Your content's good. I see the Post Parties, putting a little fuel behind you. So listen, guys, I'm a coach. I've been a coach for a long time, working with a bunch of advisors for 20 years. If you ever want to set up just time with me to talk about content, to talk about strategy, whether it's our strategy or strategy outside of what we're doing, by all means. I mean, I absolutely invite that. I'm available to you. That's my cell phone number, direct email address. So by all means, just send me an email, shoot me a text, whatever, and we'll get on the calendar with each other. So we got another chat here. Let's see what we got. Jim, the feed got interrupted a few times. Yes, you will get a recording of this, Jim. And sorry about that if I had a bad Wi-Fi connection. And guys, when I get home and I'm in my dedicated office space, okay, it was on your end, Jim. When I get home and I'm in my dedicated office space, we don't have distractions of school kids letting out in the middle of a webinar, right? And the neighborhood dogs barking at all those kids. Hopefully those weren't my dogs. Jeff, my pleasure, man. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And Eric, thank you. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the local cheese, of course. My brother is director of vice president of information systems for Sartori Cheese, and Eric can tell you because he's gotten cheese, because we have a little bet. I'll tell you my bet with Eric. He's gotten cheese a couple of times, actually. Maybe Eric only once. Eric is a Detroit Lions fan. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan growing up in Green Bay. And if the Packers beat the Lions twice in a year, Eric sends me a special care package. If the Lions beat the Packers twice in a year, I send Eric a special care package, which is cheese. That's only happened once, though, I think in the last 25 years. So, Eric, we'll get you more cheese anyway. So, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm going to shut this down. I want to thank you all first off for putting your trust in social advisors to help you with your LinkedIn and business development strategy. Post Party is an awesome, awesome, awesome tool for growing the reach of your content. I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. It does take some dedication to it. So make sure that you're willing to dedicate 30 minutes once or twice a week to make it work for you. We'll get this recording out to everybody. And I just want to thank you for taking 30, I guess I went over a little bit, but 35 minutes of your day for hanging out in my RV with me, right? I can't see everything, but we got plants hanging. What's that? We got some chili peppers we picked up in Santa Fe. Anyway, so the slow roll back to Florida. Couldn't be more excited to jump back in 80-degree water and climb in my bed. So again, thanks to y'all. You know where I'm at if you need me.